Welcome to Podula Rasa. I'm David Blank.
And I'm Jim Esch.
This is a podcast about finding something in nothing.
A couple of shows ago, Dave and I were exploring the topic of meditation, what it's all about, how it works. We wanted to give you an update on how our daily meditation practice has been going. We've come up with some interesting new insights for you. We've both been doing our daily meditations. I'm about 19 straight days.
Excellent.
Yeah. And you told me that it's going pretty well for you lately. So I just kind of wanted to catch up and see what your experiences have been like. And I've had some new experiences with it that I wanted to run by you to see if you've ever felt the same thing, because you've been at this longer than me.
Okay. Sure.
So you said it's been going really well for you.
It has. Well, since my wife and I started doing it each morning with the TM guy, Bob Roth, with about 1,800 or 2,000 other people, it's been much easier to sink into it and just kind of get comfortable and go. Whereas before that, when I was just on my own, sometimes I would be able to do it, and other times it was just a struggle to even sit still. But it's to the point now where, and I think this is really because we've been doing it so consistently, that we just kind of settle in. And even if there are distractions, it's just part of the meditation. Like this morning, we were sitting there. On the weekends, we do it at 8:30. And so we were sitting there meditating, and our cat came in and decided he was going to start digging around on the blankets that were like, we cover ourselves because we're in the basement. It's a little chilly. And he's like digging at mine. And so I picked up my blanket and I put it over him, figuring he wanted to be underneath. That wasn't good. So then he's digging at hers. She did the same thing. And then he just went and got comfortable somewhere else. But the thing was that I just kind of looked at it, we smiled at each other, and then just closed our eyes and went back to meditating, immediately sinking right into the mantra. And then off I went, and it's like, for me, I sink in, I do the mantra a couple of times, and then my mind is just released. And it happens almost every time now, and it's nice because I feel a physical sensation to it also. Even when I kind of go in and come back out and go in and out, it's still really good.
What's the physical sensation feel like?
Extremely relaxed, almost like a whole body kind of buzzing sensation. But it's very comfortable. It's not like if you drank too much, Right. It's this very comfortable.
Well, the stuff you're bringing up, I can totally identify with. First of all, with the pets, I've had a couple sessions where the cat, I feel his whiskers sort of floating around me. Then a couple of times the dog and the cat were there, and I had it sort of interrupts things, but I just make do with it, and then I kind of try to slide back in, right? And they're kind of there, with me, and it's all part of the picture, right?
Yeah.
But this buzzing sensation, I wanted to get into this because this is the new thing that's been happening to me, and it was totally unexpected. So I've been up and down, some days, my mind is really active. It's very hard to release. And, and then the other thing that's been happening is a lot of memories are welling up from just out of nowhere, things I haven't thought about in decades, and really vivid things will pop in. So that sometimes happens. And I'm just kind of watch them come in and fly by, and
just let them go,
and then try to let them go. So that's hard, though, sometimes. But yeah, but then a few days ago, maybe a week ago, I I got this strange sensation, like almost like a wave was hitting me physically. And I don't even, it's very hard to describe. It's like vibrations, or you call it buzzing. I'm not sure it's the same thing. And sometimes it starts from without and kind of washes over me. Sometimes it's coming up from within, and it feels almost like a little mini seizure or something. Like my muscles are, it's sort of spazzing a little bit. Wow. And it's mixed in with a little feeling almost of vertigo. Not in a dizzying, not in an unpleasant way though, right? In a very exciting, sort of supercharged, what is happening to me? And the only analogy, the one analogy I thought of was, it's like when you're in a roller coaster and you're going like up and then down and up and down, and then that sort of that your body's sort of like released from gravity and pulled back in. It's just like these waves of these sensations, and that for the first 2 weeks of meditation, I have felt nothing of that. And now they come pretty frequently.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that is, or if you felt that before.
I have sometimes in meditation, but other times when you mentioned the roller coaster thing, that kind of struck a chord with me, because the night my father died, I had a very vivid dream of him and a friend on a roller coaster.
Wow.
And I felt like I was there just like observing, but I was on the coaster too. And it was like a roller coaster.
With your father? Or
well, no, I was there, but it was him with a friend in like the 1930s or something, when they were kids. It could have been something he told me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm right.
But I know that feeling is like what I definitely. It sounds the same.
Yeah, it's very emotional.
Yeah.
What this thing that's happening to me is, it's releasing what I would maybe call pent-up emotions or something. Like, I don't know what's going on with it, honestly. Maybe I'm having little seizures and I should see a doctor or something, but I don't think so.
I think we should get you trained in TM, is what I think, like officially trained, because this is totally normal. I think that's you're letting your body is relaxing, and your body is letting out what it needs to let out. I think it's normal, and I think that you should gravitate towards like being comfortable with that.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm not. At first, it was scary at first, but the more it happens, the more I just ride it, and it's not unpleasant. There, you just heard the sound of the Phoenix, which is an old wooden roller coaster at Knoebels Amusement Park up in upstate Pennsylvania, as they say. It's one of the highest rated old wooden roller coasters in the nation, apparently, and I have ridden that roller coaster. It is just as fun can be. Great layout, great scenery, and the negative gravity effect of going over those bunny hops at the end of that roller coaster is like, you just got to go to Knoebels and do it. I think it's $3 a ride, worth every penny. And the Phoenix is an appropriate name for a show on meditation, because I feel often like something's rising within me that may have been dead before. Who knows? The other things I've been noticing when I meditate are, and I feel like it's going well, is sometimes I feel almost like I'm floating as I'm sitting there. And that's a real cool feeling when it happens.
Do you ever feel like you have fallen asleep during your meditation?
Not yet, no.
Okay.
No. The other feeling, sometimes I feel like I'm becoming transparent.
Well, that could be connected to floating also.
Yeah, it usually is accompanied by that feeling, like the wind. When there's open windows where I'm doing it on the
Yeah.
third floor of our house, and sometimes you feel the breeze come in, and then you just feel like it's going through you almost.
Mm.
And I think of that thing you said in one of the earlier podcasts where our atoms are only, most of it's what? Just vacant space.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, just look up a wiki page on the structure of an atom. It's very, very little actual material there. Just repulsive forces.
Right.
You could still be the neutron.
I wanted to bring this up. I have something to show you.
Yeah.
I've been going through, like I said, memory's been a big part of my summer. And I think since this whole COVID thing has been going on, it's given me the opportunity to recollect and reflect. And I've been going through these boxes, that it was pretty much my mom saved all this stuff. So I found something in there that was my first writing journal.
Really?
And this is, okay, so this is Padula Rasa, right? And what's the theme of our show?
Something from nothing.
Right. So here is my first writing journal, and I got this on Christmas Day in 1975. It's called The Nothing Book.
Wow. That's incredible. What did you write? What's the first, if you don't mind sharing?
Well, there's a lot of stuff I don't want to share in here, but the first entry was just all the stuff I got for Christmas. Me and my sister got for Christmas that day, and it was a really great Christmas. I think the last line in the entry was the best Christmas we've ever had. And I also got the book I'm writing in.
Wow.
So, but there's all kinds of stuff. So it's been like totally mind blowing to go through this. I haven't looked at it in years, and I left off this journal, and I didn't write in it a whole lot, but my last entry was March 30th, 1983.
Wow.
So I had just post Zeus and the Druids about a year later, right? And then I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pick up, almost 40 years later, and now I'm writing in it again.
Wow.
A Nothing Book.
It's an interesting date. I think I told you that I used to write poetry on March 30th of any given year until about 10 years ago. I don't know why.
Why March 30th?
I don't know. 3:30. I have no idea. It just seemed like a day I should do that. Like I've got a big, thick book somewhere, probably with the Zeus and the Druids lyrics in it.
Well, you know what my street address is? 330 West Bernard Street.
Wow.
I'm in house 330.
Well, there you go.
Everything is connected.
Yeah, I think so.
But that made me chuckle that this little journal was called The Nothing Book, and here I am all these years later doing a podcast, Something from Nothing.
Yeah. Were you into writing back then?
I was just getting started, and I guess my dad realized it, and then he bought that for me. And
probably went over to the Lawrence Park Shopping Center and bookstore there.
The other thing that's in this nothing book on the front page is little quotes about nothing. So this is what gave me the idea to do maybe some prompts, and then there's the other things I've been reading that I'm thinking like, well, what would Dave think about this if I read it? So I'll give you one of these quotes and you can respond to it. This is one from Socrates. As for me, all I know is that I know nothing.
I think I've heard that one before. I don't know what it makes me think of. I have nothing to say.
He would be pleased. That was something that he hammers on quite a bit, that the beginning of wisdom or the beginning of knowledge is admitting that you don't know anything.
Right.
It's a paradox, right?
Yep.
I know that I know nothing. Okay.
Well, the day I defended my PhD was the day that I realized how much I didn't know about chemistry, because I knew I'm standing in this room with 3 of my professors, and I have to defend what I did for the last 4.5 years. And I'm looking at these guys, and they're like, between the 3 of them, about 100 years worth of experience in science. And I'm answering their questions like I know what I'm talking about, but I'm totally realizing that I only know this little narrow sliver of which amounts to practically nothing.
Right.
And yeah, it was a very humbling moment, especially coming out of between the time when I finished defending and the time that I heard that I passed. It was like I'm realizing how little I know about anything. It's crazy,
When I started teaching writing, I didn't know the first thing about writing. Really. I mean, most of my writing talent is kind of innate, or just through osmosis, through all the reading I was doing and imitating other writers and whatnot. I don't even know what I was doing. I didn't have any theory behind it or anything like that. When you teach, you do sort of maybe get better. I think you acquire knowledge by trying to teach it.
Oh, absolutely. What you said reminded me of one of my professors in grad school, who I was taking a course on molecular orbital theory. And this guy, Dave Lamal, was just an absolute genius. He had studied with a Nobel Prize winner at Harvard, like real unbelievable pedigree. And he just kept, he was at Dartmouth, and which is pretty good for a teaching gig. And I remember I was having the hardest time understanding what the math meant, because like a lot of that is just calculus, and it's applied, and you have to really understand what all the numbers actually mean in a physical sense. And I remember I was walking with him from class back to his office, and we were just talking, and I just shook my head and said, Professor Lamal, I'm really sorry. I must be stupid, because I'm just not getting this. It's not getting through. And he stopped. He said, Dave, no, it's okay. He goes, I didn't really even understand this stuff either until about the second time I taught it.
Mm-hmm.
And this was a guy who studied in his PhD with the person who invented molecular orbital theory. And I thought, okay, so I'm just going to keep trying. And I never taught it, so I never really understood it. But I understood it enough to get through, I guess. But that's like your example. It just like you had to think about. I'm just guessing here, but you had to think about what's my process. How do I do this? How can I
Yes.
explain to somebody else how to apply this? Because it's got to be different for everybody.
All right, see what you can do with that.
That's cool. Listen, you mentioned prompts, and I
Yeah.
have this I have a set of oblique strategies cards, which is Brian Eno's set. It's like they're like tarot cards. They were done in '75,
Okay.
and with Peter Schmidt, and it says oblique strategies over 100 worthwhile dilemmas. If you need to think about something, or it's a prompt. It's a set of prompt cards. And I was seeing a woman one time who worked for one of the record companies, and she gave me a pack of these. So here's one. I'm just going to pick it out at random, and here's your prompt. Take away the elements in order of apparent non-importance. What does that make you think of? Nothing from something?
Well, you strip away all the somethings, and then the important thing would be the nothing, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I had no idea what was going to come up. I just thought I'd try it.
As my first year writing students like to say, in conclusion, what does all this amount to? What does the COVID crisis have to do with the impact that it's had on our meditation practices and the value that we find in that? And how is it helping other people to reevaluate their lives? Dave had some interesting comments on that.
I've been more serious about it. I think, COVID had a lot to do with that, and my wife being home, but I got my hair cut yesterday, and the woman who cut my hair was telling me about how great it had been to be in quarantine because it made her get serious about her family. And, yeah, I was like, this is so awesome to hear about. Like, I don't know why she's telling me, but she stepped down from her position as a manager at this hair place to be just a stylist part-time because she's, I've got 5 kids and I need to be there for them.
Right.
That's what's important. And I didn't realize it before that.
It's just families being families again and not being sort of everyone's off spread out doing their thing or shuttling the kid to like this team and that club and that activity. Kids are so overscheduled these days, right?
And you can't do it now.
Now you can't. So now you got to, just be with each other, get along, and get creative.
Yeah. I think, as human beings, we have to extract positive out of everything because if we didn't, we'd get really depressed.
That's right. Right. We hope you will subscribe to our podcast, Pagula Rasa. You can find it at anchor.fm and wherever podcasts can be found. Go to the website, padularasa.com. Leave a comment for this show if you have a response or if you want to share some details from your own meditation practice or your thoughts about nothing and something. Thanks so much for listening. We'll try to get back with a new podcast very, very soon.